Mr. Speaker, will your Committee on State Agencies, to whom is referred House Bill 1957, beg leave to report we've had the same under consideration, herewith return the same recommendation. Concur in Senate Amendment Number 1. Respectfully submitted, Representative Dwight Tosh, Chair. Mr. Speaker, we, your Committee on House Rules, to whom is referred Senate Bill 699, beg leave to report we had the same under consideration, herewith return the same with the recommendation that it do pass. Respectfully submitted, Vice Chair Keith Slade, Chairman, Vice Chairman, something like that.
Representative Eves, for what purpose? Let's hear your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move the rules be suspended and the two bills reported out of committee be placed on a supplemental calendar for consideration by the full House.
That's a proper motion, and because it is a suspension of the rules, it is not debatable. The question before the House is for the two bills reported out of committee to be placed on a supplemental calendar for consideration by the full House. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Yeah, I took yeah. We talked downstairs. We came up together. I took a picture. I had told her I said I gotta take a picture. Otherwise, we can't come here. Oh, just now. Okay.
Just released.
Okay.
That has
Okay.
those two bills on it.
Okay.
We'll see it.
No, but they have them like that, and that's the cut.
Let's pray
So-
they don't sneak anything else.
Well,
I hugged her.
you know they could. They still could though. They could. Yes, they can. Here. Yeah, right. At the end of this, they could if they wanted to. But they don't have the votes. They don't have the votes.
That's right. I don't think
They don't have the votes.
They suspend them.
Representative Wardlaw recommends that we concur in Senate Amendment Number 1, House Bill 1957. Mr. Clerk, please read Senate Amendment Number 1.
Senate Amendment Number 1.
Representative Wardlaw, you're recognized to explain Amendment Number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I make y'all one promise. I won't be back down here this session. So all this does, the amendment from the Senate, makes our bill a little bit stronger and clearer. It takes the definition of firearm ban and adds it to the last section of the bill to make it very clear on when we have exceptions to the bill. That's all it does. Adds a bunch of co-sponsors, and that's it. Appreciate a good vote.
Representative Wardlaw has explained the amendment. Would anyone like to speak against the amendment? Would anyone like to speak for the amendment? Representative Wardlaw has closed for the amendment. The question before the House is the concurrence with Senate Amendment Number 1 to House Bill 1957. Actually, we have three pairs on the desk. Representative Lundstrom votes yes. Representative Scott votes no. Representative Scott is the present member, witnessed by Representative Kavanaugh. Are there any procedural objections to this pair? Hearing none, please do not vote either of these two voting machines. Representative Maddox votes yes. Representative Hudson votes no. Witnessed by Representative Gray, Representative Hudson is the present member. Are there any procedural objections to this pair? Hearing none, please do not vote either of these two voting machines. Representative Boyd votes yes. Representative Whitaker votes no. Witnessed by Representative Gray. Representative Whitaker is the present member. Are there any procedural objections to this pair? Hearing none, please do not vote either of these two voting machines. Prepare the machine, Mr. Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Cast at the ballot, Mr. Clerk. By a vote of 79 yeas, 20 nays, and 0 present, you have concurred in Senate Amendment Number 1 to House Bill 1957. Representative Wright, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, I move to recall House Bill 1390 from the Governor's office, and it's my bill.
That's a proper motion. It is debatable. You're recognized to explain your motion.
It's good to be with you, and it's been a good session. I think that when we look at the overall picture, especially with our gun bills that we've gotten through, our safety bill, it's there's been a lot of players in this, Grant. Hard stuff to deal with for a couple of weeks. But I think that it's been a process of whipping things back and forth to the point that you actually say, this is as good as we're going to get. And I think that's where we're at. And you know, you have to do things sometimes that's going to, it's going to affect you. But I will say this. I think that for the overall good of all the people that are in this room tonight, I think we need to do what's right. And I think that's, you know, if you're going to be a good person, if you're going to love your state, you're going to have to do sometimes things that's good for the whole instead of just one person. And I appreciate everyone that's here in this room. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate you so much for working with us, but we need to go ahead on, and we've had a great session, and I don't see any point in dragging this out, especially from my end, because I'm for every one of us put together, and I appreciate you.
Representative Rise, explain the motion. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Representative Hayden, you're recognized to speak against the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I love you, Johnny. I'll tell you what, I really appreciate Johnny Rye and his willingness to keep things simple for us, but I just couldn't let this go without saying a word or two. We had a great bill that passed out of this House, 1789, that went down in the Senate yesterday because of the muddy water that's been created over this veto and what we're doing here tonight and everything. I'd hate to lose another good bill, Johnny Rye's bill, because of the muddy water that's going on in the veto and the override and all the maneuvering that's been happening in the last 48 hours. House Bill 1390 passed out of this chamber and the Senate with a 3/4 majority. I appreciate, you know, we make deference for a member's bill or the member's own amendment and what they want to do with their bill, and I appreciate Johnny being kind enough to withdraw this whenever he was asked to. But folks, this is our bill. When we pass it with a 3/4 majority, it's no longer just the sponsor's bill. And so I'm going to vote not to recall it. And I appreciate you all vote the same. Thank you.
Representative Payton has spoken against the motion. Would anyone like to speak for the motion? Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Representative Rye is closed for the motion. The question before the House is the recall of House Bill 1390 from the Governor's office. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, please read Senate Bill 699.
Senate Bill 699 by Representative Eads to amend the law concerning campaign finance and to amend the law concerning mandatory electronic report filing and to declare an emergency.
Representative Eads, you're recognized to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. Members, this bill is Senator Mark Johnson's bill. It came to us kind of at a late hour, but I wanted to tell you it does three things. Removes the no access to technology requirement for paper filing of campaign finance reports, so you don't have to have bad internet in order to use the paper filing system. Number two, Secretary of State must develop electronic reporting forms which can be filled out on a personal computer and transmitted to the Secretary of State. This would be like PDF files or read-only Excel file that you fill out and send in. Third thing it does, and this is an uncodified section, it would direct the Secretary of State to develop criteria for an updated and simplified online system by January 1st of 2022. I think you'll all probably agree that the online filing system we have now is pretty bad. It's not very user-friendly, so yeah, it's kind of halfway, I get it. So this would help us develop a new system. The peer would deal with this. I believe they do have an appropriation for that. There'd be no additional cost until they seek bids on a new vendor. So with that, I'd appreciate a good vote.
Representative Eves has explained the bill. Would anyone like to speak against the bill? Would anyone like to speak for the bill? Representative Eves is closed for the bill. The question before the House is the passage of Senate Bill 699. Prepare the machine, Mr. Clerk. Has everyone voted? Has everyone voted? Voting on the bill and the emergency clause. Cast its ballot, Mr. Clerk. By a vote of 81 yeas, 9 nays, and 2 present, the bill and emergency clause are passed. Representative Meeks, for what purpose?
The moment we've all been waiting for, Mr. Speaker. Motion.
Let's hear your motion.
By authority of House Concurrent Resolution 1015, I move the House of Representatives stand in recess until such time as we are called back into session by the declaration of the Speaker of the House and the President Pro Tem of the Senate for the purpose of considering vetoes, correcting errors and oversights, completing work on congressional redistricting, considering legislation regarding the COVID-19 public health emergency, or considering a further extension of the regular session of the 93rd General Assembly.
That's a proper motion. It's not debatable. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion is passed. Are there any announcements? Representative Wing.
I have an announcement. We have had 2 birthdays, and I have learned in this session that the most important thing a House manager can do is recognize birthdays. Gary Deffenbaugh. And Roger Lynch. And since this is the last day of our session, everybody who was born outside of this session on those days, please stand up and let's say happy birthday to you.
Any other announcements? Members, if you would indulge me for just a moment. For just a moment. I know that we were very anxious to get to the final motion, and so I didn't want to belabor the point, but I just want to thank each and every one of you for your hard work during this session. It seems like a really long time ago when we came in on January 11th, and I look back at some of the things that I mentioned at the outset, and I'm proud of the work that we've done. I recognize that for each of us, there have been really great moments, and there have been other moments that have not been so great, and I realize that we all have things that we're probably proud of accomplishing and other things that we feel like we were unsuccessful on. But I think on the whole, I think once again, the legislative process has worked. I'm proud of how the House has conducted its business each and every day. I appreciate the hard work that each of you put into this. I appreciate your flexibility, whether it's been in dealing with plexiglass and masks or meeting at 12:01 a.m. We've come to work each and every day, and we've done the best job that we know how to do, and I want to thank you for that. It's been my honor to be your speaker during this time, and I look forward to the opportunity for us to reconvene to take up the final business, which will be redistricting, and look forward to doing that in the not too distant future. I want to wish you all well. I hope everybody has safe travels back home, and as we move into the interim, If there's anything that we can do or staff can do to assist you, please do not hesitate to let us know. With that, thank you, good night, good evening, and God bless the great state of Arkansas.